Hi, class, and welcome back to our mini series on persuasive speech. So, last time we were talking about constructing sound arguments, and so I would like to pick up from where we left off and continue talking about how to construct sound arguments. So, when we're talking about arguments, we understand that it comprises of three elements. The first one is the claim, which states the speaker's conclusion based on evidence. So, the claim answers the questions, what are you trying to prove? Or what's your point? For instance, you would want to say, go back to that sugar example, that sugar is beneficial for your health. I know it's wrong. I'm just giving you as an example. So this is what you're trying to prove and what your point is. And then the evidence supports the claim. It answers to the questions, how so? Or why do you think so? Prove it. Yeah. So the evidence provides answers to the questions of how so or why do you think so. So why do I think that sugar is beneficial for your health, for instance? And then the third one is the link that connect evidence to the claim, and this is what we call it as warrant. It provides reasoning why the evidence is allowed to stand as proof for the claim. Now, when we're talking about warrants, there are three types of warrants. The first one is motivational warrants, which offer reasons targeted at the audience's need and emotions. In other words, this is the warrants that is based on pathos. And then you have authoritative warrants, which appeals to credibility of the source of evidence, which is based on ethos. And then we also have what we call as substantive warrants, which target the audience's faith in the speaker's factual evidence, or one that is based on logos. Now, here is an example of claim, evidence, and warrant. Here we see that the claim is Rosa Sanchez is a good choice for the position of Supreme Court judge. And then the evidence is the American Bar Association recommended Sanchez as well qualified. So the warrant is the ABA is an authority source known as competent to determine who is a good choice for Supreme Judge position. So if I ask you what type of warrant is this, if we go back to the previous three types of warrant, is this motivational warrant, is this authoritative warrants, or is this substantive warrants? Can you guess? Well, based on the fact that ABA is an authority source that is known as competent to determine who is a good choice for Supreme Judge position, then this is definitely an authoritative warrant, appeal to the credibility of the source of evidence. So I'm hoping that that example gives you a much clearer picture of what I meant by claim, evidence, and warrant. I'm going to actually ask you these questions in your quiz and your final exam. So I want you to understand the meaning of claim, evidence, and warrant and be able to provide your own example for each of them. Okay, now we talk about three types of claims. The first one is a fact claim, which asserts that something is true or false. So fact claims that are debatable make for strong persuasive speech topics. For example, do energy drinks cause more health problems than coffee does? So you can tell that all the evidence that you gather to support your claim is going to be most likely based on logos, yeah, because these are evidence that based on research. And so you can make the claim that, for instance, energy drink cause more health problems than coffee. And you can also make a value claim which attaches a judgment such as good, bad, moral, or immoral to a subject. Some examples of this include, for instance, physician-assisted suicide is immoral, or full body scanners are a justified intrusion on airline passenger privacy, for instance. So I just want you to understand that when you decide to create a value claim, there's going to be it's open for debate, and people will disagree with you because you're attaching this idea of good or bad, moral or immoral. It's hard to avoid this though. And there are some juicy topics out there that you can choose for your persuasive speech. However, I also want you to be careful in how you approach this value claim. It can be a landmine as well, so just be mindful of that. The third one is actually about policy claim, which advocates actions by organizations, institutions, or members of your audience. So examples include advocating that the university should make parking free for all students, or that the government should increase Pell Grants to students, for instance. Or even, like one of you have delivered a speech on this, is that we need to go and explore our national parks during our school break, for instance. So most persuasive speeches deal with questions of policy because they involve questions of facts, they involve questions of values, but they always go beyond questions of fact or value to decide whether something should or should not be done. Yeah. So I find persuasive speech to be so exciting because there are so many things that you can do with it. But one thing that I would like to highlight here, that when you approach persuasive speech, don't think about yourself. Yeah, as we have discussed about the goodwill, we need to think about the audience. How can we formulate our topic and approach it in a way that we're building a bridge instead of building a wall between us and our audience? Okay, now let's talk about the three basic issues that persuasive speech on policy must address. And the three basic issues are need, plan, and practicality. And then, in addition to that, we're also going to discuss the patterns of organization for a good persuasive speech. So there are four patterns of organizations that are especially effective for persuasive speeches on questions of policy. Number one is problem solution. This is the simplest version of it. You present a problem and then you present a solution. That's it. However, I don't really want you to just approach it in this very simplistic way, because problem cause solution is going to be a lot more appealing as well. Since when you talk about the problem, you also talk about what caused the problem. And so it makes it easier for you to move on to the solution, to the proposed solution that you have. And you can also approach it using comparative advantages. So the speaker focuses on explaining why his or her plan is preferable to other solutions. Yeah. So you can actually compare this. So you can identify a problem, and then you identify what are the causes of the problem, and then you talk about possible solutions, and then you convince the audience that your solution, your proposed solution, is the best of all the options. And then the last one is what we call as Monroe's motivated sequence, which developed by the psychologist whose name is Alan Monroe. So Monroe's motivated sequence is a very common pattern that used by many speakers when they're trying to persuade the audience. And this is one of the patterns that I encourage you to start trying to think when you're designing your persuasive speech. Let's talk more about what Monroe's motivated sequence is. So the sequence has 5 steps that follow the psychology of persuasion. The first one is you need to gain the attention of the audience. The second one is you need to show the need for a change, why there is a need for a change. And then the third one, you're going to satisfy the sense of the need by presenting a plan that will remedy the need. So here's the plan that can help solve the problem. And then you're going to visualize the benefits and practicality of the plan. So this is very important step because you're asking your audience to think about how, if you implement this solution, how that can affect their life. Yeah. And then the last one is to urge the audience to take action in support of the plan. So this is the last part that you need to emphasize so that the audience, after they listen to your presentation, they're thinking that, oh, this is the thing that I can do to help make this kind of change. Now, after we discuss about all the elements of a persuasive speech, I want to do two things. The next one that I want you to do is to actually watch this TED Talk video. And then after you watch this TED Talk video, don't worry, it's not a long one, it's less than 50 minutes. And you're going to answer the lecture check questions that you will find at the end of this presentation. So let me walk you through that. There's a TED Talk that you can click and you watch it. And then after that, there's going to be lecture check questions. So what I want you to do is for you to answer all 4 of these questions in the discussion sections of your D2L. To access the discussion, click on the Activities drop-down menu and then you click on Discussions. And you answer all of these 4 questions. Number 1, which speech do you find more challenging to craft? Informative or persuasive? Give me the reasons why. And then which pattern of organization do you find more effective for your persuasive speech? Please provide a brief explanation so that I understand why you think that pattern of organization is the most effective one. Remember, we have 4 types of patterns of organizations: problem solution, problem cause solution, comparative advantages, as well as Monroe's motivated sequence. So you choose one of those 4. And then after watching the TED Talk, can you identify the pattern of organization that the speaker used in the speech? Yeah. So what is it? What is the pattern of organization that she used to persuade her audience? And do you think she was able to persuade you? If yes, why? If not, why not? All right. That's it for the 2-part series on persuasive speech. There is a TED Talk video that you need to watch, and then don't forget to answer the lecture check questions. The 3rd video that I'm going to upload after this is actually the assignment guideline for persuasive speech. So I'm going to walk you through the assignment guideline so that you will understand what is expected as you're preparing for your persuasive speech. All right. Thanks, everyone.